Time to talk that hockey with DraftKings contributor Geoff Ulrich and Rotowire's AJ Scholz. Guys, Game 3 of the Stanley Cup Finals is going down on Friday, but, Tampa took the first two. Geoff, talk to me about last night's W for the Lightning. What did you think?
Yeah, I just think it's quite evident that, the Lightning have the three best players in this series in Vasilevsky, Kucherov, and Braden Point. And it's going to be mighty tough for the Canadians if all three of these guys are firing at all cylinders. You saw the top line for Tampa take the first game for them. You saw Vasilevsky essentially steal the second game for them. It's a big road here to climb for Montreal, who's obviously at a skill advantage, at least on the top end. Now, can they wear these guys down if they can steal game three? Yeah, it could happen. We've seen Kucherov get injury prone, so to speak. Maybe Vasilevsky cools off for a game, but if it doesn't happen, if they can't push it to, if they go down 3-0, this one is done.
AJ, what do you think? Anything to add?
Not really. I mean, I think what we've learned is Vasilevsky is really, really good, right? I mean, they peppered him with more shots than he's seen since the opening round against the Panthers, and it just didn't matter at all. The fact that the only goal that Montreal scored in Game 2 was on the power play sends that much more of a message to me. I mean, he was one Mikhail Sergachev penalty away from a shutout in this one.
All right, well, guys, the Canadians are now at home for Game 3 after dropping the first two games in Tampa, like I said. Even with the home ice advantage for the Habs, the Lightning are still the favorite at -137. I mean, did you see anything in Games 1 to 2 to make you think that Montreal could claw back into this series, AJ?
I mean, I guess it depends how you define claw back. Like win Game 3 with with the shift home in a must-win game, that I can buy. Even the series with back-to-back wins, I don't see that happening. I mean, look, the fact is the Bolts got points from guys like Coleman, Ruta, and McDonough in this game. I mean, it really doesn't bode well for the Habs here. If you told me Montreal would hold Kucherov, Stamkos, Point, and Hedman without a point in a game, I'd have assumed Montreal won that game. So, I mean, the fact that they're getting scoring from other guys, I agree with Geoff. I think this is a must-win game. If it's 3-0, it's over for sure. I think they can maybe steal this one, but I just don't see them winning or evening up the series here in these two games in Montreal.
Yeah, Geoff, same for you.
I'd just say that the zoom effects on AJ's background today are amazing. We're even getting the wind noise. I mean, this is crazy stuff.
Wow.
Right? I mean, it's almost like he's in the woods.
Incredible.
Almost.
Okay, so yeah, it's not so much what we saw from Montreal in Game 2, although, look, they did fire like 40-plus shots. I mean, obviously they carried a bit of the offensive chances in that game. Nick Suzuki with 11 shots on goal. I don't know where that came from, but regardless, that gives them a little bit of hope. I think the biggest hope that Montreal has is what we've seen from them in other series, and that's the fact that Carey Price is a guy who will bounce back, and that Carey Price has a lot of pride, and he's a veteran goalie, and he's probably going to bounce back in Game 3, especially with it being at home. So it's more of a historical thing, and like I said, if Montreal can find a way to steal this game, probably on the back of Price tomorrow, or on Monday, then this one could get interesting, just from the perspective of 2-1, and then you have another home game, and again, does some of these stars start to wear down a little bit? So I am far more bullish on Montreal for the Game 3 than I was for Game 2. But we got to recognize this is probably going to be on the back of Carey Price.
All right, well, Geoff, the total for this game is 5. Montreal has just 2 goals in the series, so is the under the safe bet here?
Look, we've been hammering it again, and I've alluded to this. I mean, if you've just been following our totals bets here, and just because we've basically been on the under for every single game, then you're in profit. And again, I see no reason to go off this. I think Carey Price will bounce back, and I think that at the very least you're going to get a very close Game 3 and probably a lower scoring one, similar to what we saw in Game 2. So. You can go to the alternate puck line. You could go to, the under 4.5 at +165, or you could just, you could get a little bit of safety there and go under 5.5 at -167. It's pick your poison here. If you just want to go with the 5 and play the push, that's fine too. But the under is the play for me again. There's absolutely nothing here that says I want to get off this. I think Vasilevsky, at the very least, probably isn't going to get shellacked for 5 goals, and the Canadians are going to have to win a close game.
AJ, you agree?
Absolutely. There's nothing Geoff said that I disagree with here. You guys know I like the alternate 4.5, so +165 to get some value there is a great option. But for me, the fact that you can get straight up even money and get the push in there at 5, I think I lean that way. I mean, maybe the one thing I personally wouldn't do is I'm not paying up for that extra goal at 5.5. But it's certainly there's Geoff's not wrong. You can definitely do that and still come out on top here. But yeah, the under is an absolute must tonight.
All right, well, you can still get plus money on a sweep at plus 170. AJ, is now the time to get on that? Or we kind of were saying maybe Montreal could steal one game here?
Yeah, I just don't see a scenario in which Carey Price doesn't stand on his head and steal a game for the Habs here. I know I was on 4-2 for the series outcome at the start. You can still get that at plus 500. I think that's becoming a bit more of a long shot here. But I might be inclined to look at Lightning 4-1 at plus 200. I just don't think that the sweep is going to happen when you've got Carey Price on the other side of the ice.
Yeah, Geoff, do you agree?
It is kind of an interest. I really like looking at the series lines here, but I do kind of like the sweep. I think that if you think, the way I would approach betting the 4-0 Tampa win right now is you're getting plus 170 on Tampa to win this game 3, because I really feel like if they win game 3, they're probably going to win game 4. I just don't see how a deflated Montreal team all of a sudden overcomes Tampa, who's like 1 win away from the summer and a second Stanley Cup. So I think that the sweep, the odds you're getting are very attractive here for a Tampa Bay sweep right now, plus 170. Now, AJ brought up a really interesting point. You could kind of hedge here by also taking Tampa Bay in some kind of 4-2 scenario, plus 500. So maybe making a double bet here, investing a little bit more, but giving yourself that out where if Montreal does win game 3, maybe you're out on the sweep, but you've got that sort of 4-2 series outcome with Tampa Bay to fall back on a plus 500, because I think that if Montreal wins this game 3, I think that's all of a sudden going to become a much more attractive bet. So lots of interesting stuff here with the series lines. I am pretty bullish though on this sweep happening, because mainly just because of the odds. I just don't feel like Montreal is going to really show up that much in game 4 if they lose game 3.
All right, guys, Andrei Vasilevskiy has grown his edge as the favorite to win the Conn Smythe at minus 225. Geoff, what would need to happen in the rest of this series for him not to win?
It's pretty simple. I think the series needs to go 7 games. Vasilevskiy would have to get exposed at least once. And also, you would also have to get someone like either Braden Point or Kucherov probably to put up a monster game or 2, something like a multi-goal game or 2 multi-goal games. Again, I alluded to this a couple days ago. The problem with Kucherov and Point, and I think Braden Point should be heavily considered for the MVP vote, but I don't think he's going to be heavily considered, A, because Vasilevskiy just stole a game in the Stanley Cup Finals, and B, him and Kucherov are going to split the vote. So this series for me would have to go 7 games for Vasilevskiy not to win it at this point. And as we've already talked about, neither of us really see that happening. So,
yeah, AJ, you agree with Geoff on that one?
Oh, absolutely. I think the other thing to consider is, look, voters are human. And I certainly think Vasilevskiy should have won the Vezina. So he just lost the Vezina despite arguably a better season. I think you could make the argument that Fleury got it on a career achievement award, essentially, for all the years that, he's been close there. So he just lost the Vezina. He's been the best player in this series so far. So I think even if either one of those guys had an outstanding game, I still think he could win it. For me, the only possible solution or reason he wouldn't win would be Carey Price basically stealing the next 4 games. I think he has to do it in 4 games. I think even if we get to a game 7, Price has to have at least 1 shutout, maybe 2. Vasilevskiy has to have 1 game where he's just rocked to the tune of 4, 5, 6 goals or something, and the Habs win the series. I think maybe then it could happen, because then Carey Price would win the Conn Smythe here.